Crafty Gents. Today we're at Radical Road Brewing Company in Leslieville, in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined by Andrew Machete. It's the greatest last name I've heard. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, good to meet you, man.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for having us.
Cheers.
This feels like a really ominous, dark setting that we're in.
Yeah.
It's sweet. I dig it.
It's like, like pretty low-key kind of pub vibe that we go for here.
Yeah. What beer do you have for us today?
So this is Yuzu Pale Ale. It's our flagship beer. Mm-hmm. So yuzu, if you're not familiar, is a Japanese fruit. It's like a citrus fruit. It's kind of like a cross between like an orange and a lemon. So it's an American pale ale. So we use lots of West Coast hops. So Comet primarily, with like a lot of citrus flavor that comes from great West Coast hops.
Right. And
then obviously we've added some yuzu juice, which is like citrusy and bright. So it's just kind of morphed into a really, really great year-round beer, but especially as it starts to heat up, it'll be another really good summer beer for us. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of our LCBO offerings, and it's definitely still our most popular beer at the pub.
Nice. Should we try it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Cheers. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. I've been drinking this beer for like 3 years and I still really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It is very the finish is very smooth.
Yeah.
And it's very refreshing. It seems to be easy drinking and then also flavorful too.
Yeah, big time. There's like the nice citrusy yuzu flavor up front, and then the bittering hops at the end. It's just a really clean finish.
Yeah. Pale Ale seems to be like an approachable beer to drink. For
sure. And I think there's no shortage of IPAs on the market right now, as you're probably aware. APAs are a little bit less represented. APAs just tend to be a bit more mellow when it comes to those like big hop flavors that we like in our IPAs, but just to make it a bit more approachable.
Yeah, it's funny because like APAs is kind of what started the like revolution, I guess, and then people just got more and more into hops, and then IPAs kind of took over, right?
Totally. I think that's something that some of us are still kind of, I don't want to say suffering through, but for a lot of people, craft beer means big hop flavor, and which more often than not means a lot of bitter flavors.
Right.
There are some of us that are really into that stuff, like I still am.
Yeah.
But I think it turned off a lot of people in the beginning. So people are still kind of warming up to the fact that craft beer doesn't just mean triple IPA with 18 different hops, and it's been dry hopped, and there's so much hop, it's like sludge.
Yeah.
So that you can start, you can start having more interesting beers like sours, and we can start doing stuff like Yuzu Pale Ale, for example, or like craft beer doesn't mean that it's going to have too much hops that you can't enjoy it.
But like the vibe in here is awesome. It feels like, I was saying this to Chad on the way over, it feels like one of those scenes from, not Mad Men, because I've never seen that show, but like where lobsters would like have secret meetings.
Yeah, for sure. Like you almost expect to see like a haze of smoke in the air somewhere.
Exactly. I think because we're the only ones in here, it could be like, it feels exclusive right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the vibe in this place on like a Friday or Saturday night, when it's dark outside, or when it's nice and cold outside too, honestly, is when it's really great in here.
That makes sense.
Candles on every table, the lights are low. Every bartender kind of has their own vibe that they set during their shift, and we encourage people like read the room, play what you think is appropriate. Yeah. Nothing with
romance. They have a monster truck on.
Yeah, exactly. Like read the room, obviously, but yeah. I mean, I personally am just like a huge indie fan or whatever. Yeah. So like I usually just have Arcade Fire going, or a Spotify playlist inspired by Arcade Fire, and I just let it roll. So
sweet.
But yeah, we encourage all of our bartenders to like set the tone for what you want a Wednesday night to feel like, or a Friday night, or a Monday night. But what I've seen over the last few years is brewery after brewery opening. I think something like 6 or 7 have opened since I started working here.
Right.
And in that time, now we get, instead of pub crawls coming through, they're brew pub crawls, or like brewery crawls.
That must feel awesome to see that progression.
Yeah, it's been really, really cool. And it's, we get a lot of people that are becoming more and more knowledgeable about craft beer and about beer in general. And it's a lot of fun talking to those people that are like, oh, I just tried this IPA or like another yuzu beer from a different brewery. And to have people draw those comparisons and I think because we are so different after coming from a place like Black Lab, for example, which is like large and like lots of animals, and it's a very different vibe. So that when a group of 10 walks into here, like a group of 10 in here is like quite large, right? Yeah. So, excuse me. I think some people enjoy that, and I think that it doesn't always appeal to everybody, but the fact that people can also come in here and do a shot of Jameson before they move on to their next spot is pretty appealing to some people as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I like it's almost like intimate here as opposed to, like you mentioned, like another brewery or whatever, something that'd be a little bit bigger. You guys have like live music here too, right?
We do.
Where do they play? That's what I want.
Yeah, so the tanks push back a few feet.
Right.
The garage door comes up. We put a black curtain. You can see the wire where the black curtain goes.
Nice. Yeah.
And then we have like spotlights that we install.
Right.
And we can fit a 4-piece band like in front of the tanks right here.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so we do live music like every Tuesday, or we try to aim for every Tuesday. So a couple weeks ago we had a gentleman, Reg, who I'd never heard of myself, but he played live and it went really well. So yeah, I mean the vibe in this place is, when it's on, it's a great place. Like we get quite a lot of like Tinder, Bumble dates kind of thing coming through.
Perfect place.
Yeah, it is, honestly. Like when there's like a candle between two people and they're like hunched kind of low and they're just like talking about stuff and
getting those awkward vibes out of the way.
Yeah, big time. I mean, alcohol always helps those situations, right? Hey, cheers.
When you guys opened, with the Yuzu and some other ones like the 8-track, but it seemed like right off the hop, you guys were really into creating like a variety of flavor profiles. How much has that still been a priority since you guys have opened in 2016?
Yeah, I think it is still very much a priority.
Yeah.
We, in the beginning, I think our specialty was more like Belgian beers.
Right.
Which, I mean, Belgian beers are like the backbone of so many great beer styles. I mean, they absolutely kill it. So the first Radical Road beer ever made was in 2013, and it was actually made at Black Oak, which is in Etobicoke.
Oh, cool.
So at the time, the head brewer, a guy named Simon DaCosta, and another brewer there, John Hod, they made their first Radical Road beer there called Wayward Son. That went to the LCBO. It did pretty well. But they obviously still had a desire to open up their own place one day.
Right.
So they teamed up with 2 more partners, Julian Holland and Steve Davis, and they opened the Radical Road Brew Club in 2016. And I would say for the last few years, I would say probably around half of the beers we made were Belgian or Belgian-inspired styles.
Right.
I would say that the market in Toronto is definitely shifting more towards weird beers. I shouldn't classify them as weird beers, but
not your traditional styles.
Not traditional styles. Right. Yeah. I mean, places like Bellwoods that are world known now, and Leslieville is one of the biggest breweries in Toronto. They kind of like cut their teeth on making different styles of beer that are like, people will line up around the corner for those beers, right?
Right.
And try as we might have in the beginning, Belgian quads weren't really that exciting for some people.
Right.
So we are now looking at like a shift to kind of go to trying more sours, trying more on our limited system, trying just different styles.
Right, branch out there.
There's always going to be a big market for IPAs, so we always try to have at least one IPA on tap.
Right.
But we also do have some room to do beers like beer, right? Just our beer, as we call it.
Which is so like different from like variety of flavor profile like you talked about, right?
Yeah, and that's just a like very approachable. I call it crafty dad beer is kind of what I call it, right? Because it's like it's still craft beer, but it's the kind of beer that we get for people that come in and they're like, all my life I've just been drinking Bud or Blue or Canadian. Like, what have you got?
Yeah.
Because there is a market for people that are like, my son or my daughter is dragging me along on a craft brew crawl and I can't drink any more IPAs.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Here's beer.
It's funny because when you see someone like that, because like usually the ABV is super high in in comparison, right?
Yeah.
So then you see people like, I can drink 8 of these. It's like, no, you can't.
Yeah, you can, but maybe don't. Like,
yeah. As a brewery or brew pub, like how do you experiment with so many different types and styles, and then still be sure they're going to appeal to like a wider audience?
Yeah,
It must be like difficult, right?
definitely.
And there's pressure on like every batch.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of being like a larger brewery, which we are not, is that they're able to do pilot systems.
Right.
We're able to do like pilot batches of beer, which actually, funnily enough, is like there are pilot systems that are about the size of our brewing system.
Right.
So like that would be like a trial batch. So for us, we have to rely on like our very experienced brewer, John, who was the former brewmaster at Black Oak, and his experience, and also just trying to figure out what's next in Toronto, which, I mean, as you probably are aware, like Toronto's pretty fickle that way, and like they're like our flavors and our
it's like a pendulum, right? It just goes back and forth between styles.
So I think all you can really do as a place of our size is just try to make good beer. Good beer will sell.
Right. Yeah.
If it's a stout or a lager or a double hopped sour with gooseberries or something like that, like good beer will sell, and it will come back and back again. Beers that are just weird for the sake of being weird,
they're just weird.
Really last.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I think you're pretty different from most of the places, like the other breweries in Leslieville, but there still is such a sense of community here with the other breweries, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Radical Road is a proud member of the TEBC, or Toronto East Brewers Collective.
Right.
It includes many of the breweries in the East End. Pretty early on, we realized that there was kind of a need to kind of band together as East End breweries to kind of differentiate ourselves from the evils of the West End.
The evils.
The evils. So for membership, basically it would just need to be, you need to make your own beer, and you need to be east of the Don River.
Right.
So our furthest west member is Eastbound Brewing.
Right.
And they're right at Broadview and Queen.
And they're super close. Like,
they are.
They're like right down the street.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the collective, as we just call it, we share information about potential like warning signs from like scams, for example.
Right.
As that does happen.
They haven't figured us out yet. We're good.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like potential bloggers that we're not quite sure about. But also doing tours together. The TEBC is at the Wolfpack this summer, the professional rugby games.
Right.
So we share tents together. We're participating in Dixon Licious next week. We'll be at Brewer's Backyard the week after that. But it's also just a chance to just kind of catch up with each other and just keep that community going.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having us, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers. It's great meeting you guys.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no sweat anytime.
Cool. That's it. Cheers.
Cheers.